Okay, so I'm going to imitate Marshall in analyzing fight footage. Except I will be analyzing my own fight footage because my fencing analysis skill is probably only good enough for me to analyze my own fight footage. So thank you, Bob, for recording these 2 minutes of uh, me and poor Wynnie last night. We'll get to that in a second. But I've never analyzed my own fencing before, so hopefully this will be good in trying to see, kind of trying to break down my own fencing from my own personal perspective and what I think I'm doing well, what I think I can improve on, and just kind of general thoughts overall that might help me point myself in a direction uh, when I'm working on my fencing more. So I have this 2 minute video loaded up, and let's see how long it takes to go through this. And this is me fighting Wynnie last night. And I was fresh when he had fought for a while, so I wasn't warmed up, but I was fresh, so that did make a difference. Uh, so, so yeah, okay. So first exchange, and I have watched a couple of times. And I do have some thoughts on it. So okay, so we start here, and I'm in this. I think I think I went into this with the explicit mindset of trying to aura farm. So of course I'm doing very fancy posts out of out of distance. One thing that I've consistently been trying to work on, and one thing that I think like everyone should work on, is footwork. And like that sounds obvious, but really I think that even us in the club, we're very sparring heavy. We could probably put more emphasis. You can always put more emphasis on footwork. So I'm consistently trying to emphasize my footwork when I'm fencing. I think sometimes to the detriment of my fencing, but I think overall it's helping me kind of just build that framework around fencing principles. Um, and I do think it in general, like as I go through this footage, a couple things about my fencing, like my arms could be extended out more. I could have more blade presence. I found that I don't usually have great blade presence in the center unless I'm trying to go for like a bind or a grapple or something, which I do fairly often. But outside of that, I'm fencing pretty drawn back, and that's probably something I've picked up from Marshall's style of fencing. But even when I find that I do take the bind, and this is of course from my own perspective, that I don't usually have enough presence there, and like uh, I tend to get blown through or cut over. See like Zach like shield howing me like pretty much every single time we get into a bind, and so that's something I've just been kind of trying to keep in mind is just trying to keep my sword out in front of me more, or at least being able to. So that's one thing I've been trying to work on more, and I think it's been getting better results. But as far as the footwork goes, nice wide stance, and I'm pretty much just trying to consistently figure out optimal footwork in terms of movement and stances as well. And so, I've been doing these pretty wide stances and stuff, and of course they're not always going to be very optimal, but they look very cool at least. I notice my posture, like if I just rewind back here, and like I'm switching here like this. I look a little constipated. I can't lie. I could probably keep my back a little straighter. I'm leaning forward, and granted, I think I'm trying to do that like at the hip, but I'm still like leaning forward, probably a little more than I need to here. So yeah, but I'm changing Posta from out of range, and then so that first exchange there, when he gives me the hit on the thumb, I thought I hit the hand during the actual exchange, I think, but no, it was just a. You can see it was over the crossguard thumb, so that I really shouldn't. It did hit the thumb, but I really shouldn't have accepted that. I thought I somehow caught the hand, or at least caught the cross guard more over than I did, but it very obviously hit cross guard and then hit her thumb there, and so she gave it to me, and like I didn't think about it in the moment, but I definitely shouldn't have gotten that hit. So I can kind of like throw that exchange out in the post, but yeah, so that's the first one. And I've been like I've just been trying to work on exaggerating my posta more, like being able to take these bigger posta, so that way when I need to, I can be a bit more drawn in and a bit more subtle with the movements. Just trying to, I don't know, flex that whole range of movement, as you can see, and also trying to warm myself up, changing these stances, changing these posts out of measure. But like here, so when I'm when I'm here, I'm in this like left flug here, and when I pull back to a Didana and then down to like a Iron Gate, and then out here to like a Breve, like this is a very weak position here. I'm moving my mouse like you can't see it, but this is a very weak position here actually for where my hands are. Also, my stance isn't great here, but really my arm should be more extended. So if I am going to be, like I fence from these retracted positions a lot. If I'm going to be going from the Iron Gate into Breve here, I should probably have my arms more extended there. I'm not really doing anything here. And worse, like if she attacked me right now, like I probably don't have that many options. So I could definitely have my hands more extended, arms more extended here, and that probably would help me uh, yeah. And then here, like like she advances. So she advances there, and I kind of just like I retreat back, right? So I move backwards, but my hands are still pretty retracted. And this is absolutely a position where I could have kept my arms extended, down lower, but kept my arms extended and tried to do more. I end up getting away with this cut, like this bad cut over the cross guard on her thumb that she calls. But you know, if she had pressed harder on me here, I would have been in a very weak position to defend from, because my arms they're very pulled back close to me. Like I could have, I could have kept my arms extended more, kept the sword close to me still, but I kind of go out, and then also this is bad of me. I retreat in a very, like, this is a very bad retreat. I don't cover my retreat at all. That is one thing that I notice that I do a lot, is I go for a lot of these quick hits, and then I end up getting doubled or afterblow, because I'm still not thinking about protecting myself while retreating as much as I should be. So I need to get back into that mindset. So yeah, this is just a very poor exchange overall on my front, I think. Yeah, like once I hit here, like my stance is compromised here, and my arms are just too pulled back, so I'm not really in a position to be proactive at all. Like I could have pushed forward, extended my arms more, tried to get more, could have gone for a grapple potentially here, but just didn't. Like I ended up retreating, and then if that hit hadn't been called, Wynnie would have been in a very good position to just hit me, because like after this, like I'm just pulled back there, right? So I'm not. It's this very like reactive fencing on my part. So I'm not making proactive moves. I'm retreating, and like when I finish retreating, I'm just pulled back into like this nothing pose, right here, into like a low Didana, if anything else. And like I'm caught pretty flat-footed here too, and like I tried to recover into this like Heidi Donna Falcone, but it probably would have been too little too late, because if this hit hadn't been called, right, could have just hit me right there while I was transitioning back into stance and proper post. And I really should be keeping that whenever I'm going. So even in my transitions, like I'm pretty sloppy there. I really should be thinking more about maintaining my form while I'm going there. Because yeah, that could have been a really easy hit for Wynnie there. She was just nice and gave me that hit. Yeah, there. And then like right like the Mezzano could have just come in from my left, and like I might have blocked. I might have just gotten hit. So anyways, but I'm back here. Okay, and then we're back, and then this second exchange is where things go horribly wrong. This is where I get kicked out of the tournament. So I push in, and even here, like I'm pushing it into like a longa, corner-ish. You see, my elbows are still really bent. My wrist is like, what is that wrist structure going on there? Like my wrists are bent. So this is not good structure. In like, like it's almost like I'm going for like a frontale longa sort of thing, and so I could have pushed in much better there. Right, so I'm here, right? Yeah, I could have pushed in. I'm very high. Like I could have just extended my arms more, had better presence there, better structure there, and then this here. God. So, so I go for the blade grab. I go for the blade grab. I miss the blade. So I don't get to grab the blade, and then I go down for a hit. Unfortunately, at the same time, she kind of turns to the right. So that may be exposing back head that you know could have not. I should have been more careful here. I was just kind of trying to go for it. I wasn't being as careful as I could have. But I go for the blade grab, miss. Right, she drops her sword, and then I end up like glancing what I thought was the back of her head, ended up being her spine, right there. Ugh. Great. So yeah, yellow card, red card, black card, whatever you want to call it, not great. Would have been stopped at a tournament and called out. I think probably my first time hitting somebody in the spine like that. Luckily, it was a glancing blow, but like that was a close range one handed, you know, kind of like almost like a snap and hit down. And I was aiming for the mask, but I missed. And like she turned her head, but I still could have been more careful there in hitting. Luckily, like it looks like it misses, but it did glance off of her back there. So that could have gone a lot better. I had a good so I've noticed when I'm going for these grapples that there's usually I usually could be going for pretty much all of my grapples at least a minute or two quicker than I am. Sorry, a second or two quicker than I am. I'm kind of pausing, and you know I'm like judging stuff, but that's lost opportunity, and then it lets stuff like this happen, you know. So like you'll hear. Could have grabbed there, you know. Instead, I'm waiting like 1 or 2 seconds, right? And it's like, yeah, I could have grabbed like 2 seconds earlier. Guaranteed grab on the blade. Could have gotten something there, maybe even a disarm, but did not do that. Okay. So very unfortunate. I gotta be more mindful of my grappling. That does devolve into stuff like that, and overall my structure and my timing and just my initiative more. I'm still not fencing with as much initiative, grappling with as much initiative as I could be, as I feel like I should be. So okay, I can do a third exchange. So again here, like I'm in these really retracted positions here, and like I guess comfortable fencing there, but I need to also be able to fence comfortably with my sword farther out, my arms farther out too. So I'm in this like low left Didana here, get into like I don't know, like a middle boar's tooth, and I do this a lot, right? I'm pulling my leg back a lot there, and don't know if it's exactly doing anything for me, right? Like I think from here I do take a yeah okay, so from there I pull back into a step, and so I think part of it is trying to mess with like tempo, footwork, expectations, stuff. It's also in part just like a tick that I need to be able to have more control of. And if I do it, to be able to do it more purposefully instead of just kind of Zach's making fun of me, makes fun of me for it, and kind of just like instinctively, like reflexively doing it unconsciously. So I should have more control over that. Here, right, those look like more of a purpose. But even there, like my arms could have been a bit more extended there, like I could have had more distance, measure there. Like, right, like my arms are weirdly bent, my wrists are weirdly bent. There, yeah, I might have been able to get that hit if I had gotten more more research in my arms out there. Okay, so then, right, so I'm there. I go in. Yeah, catch the cross guard. Could have gotten hands if I had just extended my arms out a bit more. So, note to self there. And there, I'm striking these poses out of range. And, like, this moulinet thing, right? Like, even they're like, what is the purpose in this? My hands could be higher. Arms could be more extended. It's, like, very little things that I think are just detrimental to my fencing right now. So, in this, like, iron gate, pull back here, right? Still very retracted. Push in. So my footwork here, I think, is the problem. So I'm pushing in longer. So I could be going in faster. I could be pushing in more. Not quite as aggressive as I want it to be there. Right? Like, I need to cover distance quicker here. I'm pushing in, but my steps are very, like, they're almost relaxed, Yeah, I'm pushing in, and like, the steps could be quicker, right? Could be wider. And yeah, even when I'm moving, right? Like, I could be moving more. I could be moving faster in there, and like that gives me more vor, basically. All right, so I'm pushing in, going in for a grapple, and then kind of off screen, but I think I get a I get a blade push. I might have gotten hit on that actually, but I get a blade push. Slash hand push down into a hit, and I need to talk to Wynnie about not pushing her head down like that and getting whacked in the back of the head. I don't think I did whack her in the back of the head. It was more the shoulder there, but yeah. So kind of the same thing I was trying to go for earlier, except a little bit better, a bit more controlled on my part. So let me increase the volume a little bit for the video. Okay. Back. Alright, so there. Very classic. So enter measure. And this is Fiore's first or second play, right? Might be number 2. Well, might be second student, first master, I think. Although I could be wrong. I don't have my Getty on me right now. But Fiore says, immediately upon entering the bind, drop the sword down, slice their hands. There. Okay. And then the immediately entering the bind here is that this is the important part, because then you're kind of attacking on prep, right? You're seizing the tempo, you're seizing the vor there. So here, right, immediately enter the bind, hit. So very classic textbook Fiore. A good move that, if I watch it back one more time here, right? Could have done better. Could have done a bit quicker, right? That's a bit lazy. A bit of a lazy cut there. Yeah, a bit of a lazy cut there. I could have been a bit snappier. Could have been a bit quicker, and more importantly, I could have gotten back into guard there, right? So I kind of cut down, and then I get into like this, this iron gate situation, right? Probably should have gone back into breve, or retreated, right? So cut, retreat, breve or something. Right, I kind of just shimmy backwards a little bit into this very lazy iron gate. And so, like, if she decided to go for the afterblow there, right, hands, right, and just thrust, like, from here, like, if she just blows a thrust at me, what do I do? What do I do? Right, I get stabbed. That's pretty much what I do, that's a very, very, very good afterblow opportunity there. Get hit, blast a thrust there. So, should have retreated immediately, gotten back into breve or whatever, so yeah, but I'm glad it's a move that I can do. Okay, back here again, like, arms could be more extended. I'm in this kind of pretty awkward, like, what is that, like, it's like a bit of a forward Didana there. Yeah, so and here, like, this, what, like, if that's a breve, it's a very bad breve, right? Like, what is that, like, fluke, breve, my elbows just shouldn't be, like, my upper arm is pretty much completely vertical there. and so they could definitely like Winnie's in a much more forward position here. Um, so it just feels like this is very passive of a position, and so I'm just not thinking holistically enough of my defense. I'm kind of just I'm going for these plays. I'm like, I hit or be hit, and that's not how I want to fence. So okay, so what happened there? So here I drop down into a very awkward kind of iron gate situation. Go for a thrust. Oh, see, I could have landed that if I had moved in quicker, right? So I do a shuffle step. Okay, so I do like a passing the Necrosare step in there. Probably could have done 2 passing steps. Gotten that hit, right? So footwork there. I launch out, sword first, and if I'd gone 1-2 there instead of 1.5, probably could have landed that. I don't even. Did I land that? Um, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Wynnie goes for a cut, and so I end up in like a left window. So I blocked the cut, but right, I could have grabbed there. I could have gone for something there. I could have pushed off, had to hit, or just pushed in harder. So that kind like nothing really happened there. Again, bit too passive on my part. If I'm in the pocket like that, I should make something happen. There, yeah, yeah. So there, blade grab or something, right? Or if I just like okay, or again here, if I just extend my arms out all the way, I land the thrust, and instead my elbows are like they're like half bent in for some reason. Back in, okay. And out here, like yeah, I'm here, little aura farming, little pokes to shifting, um, trying to maybe bait something, trying to see how she reacts, and she goes there. So, kind of. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Kind of sounds like it almost hits, but I hit the ground there, which is very bad of me. Yellow card again. I've accumulated so many cards this session. Right, so I go in for the hand hit. Right, so I'm there. I see her hands are exposed. I go in. Bam. Oh, sword hits the ground. Yellow card. But look, I could have hit her hands again if time. Ah, I probably could have hit there if my arms were just fully extended. Right, right. I was a little bit short. Right. If my arms were fully extended there, yeah, probably would have been hit. So I'm keeping my hands pulled too far back. I need to extend my arms more. And then I'm like, I gotta make something happen. So luckily I go for, and this I could have done this better. I go for right, kind of a flat head hit there. Land it, double barrel rules it would have hit, but yeah, it was flat. And I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that. Like, it was a very, very first attention, very committed. Didn't really have a plan there. I was just kind of going for it. But like, what's my plan if she decides to double her after below? I don't know if I caught her sword on my crossguard or not. No, I didn't. Well, did I? I don't know. I can't tell. I should have hit that, gotten control of the blade, right? I'm not thinking enough about getting control of the blade. So that was a point, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like I had to go for it because I misplayed the last exchange. So I definitely could have thought that out better. All right, and bind again. Again, doing that leg thing. And so here, I try to go for like a false edge. I get doubled, I think. Actually, I don't even know I hit her. She hits me. Yeah, okay, so double. All right, so I try to go for a false. That was a bad false edge cut, right? So here, I probably could have gotten away with this if my hands had been higher there. So she goes for the hand hit. Might have been flat, actually, but she goes for the hand hit, and I go for like a beat and then a false edge hit on the hands, which I'm not very good at. But I think if my arms been extended higher, and if I had been in more of like longer position, even a window position, and cut down, might have been able to get down with that. But my arms are just pretty retracted. Right there, yeah. And so I get doubled. Okay. Okay. So wait. Let me go back there. Okay. So last couple exchanges. Mm, okay. So what happens there? Okay, apparently I wasn't recording that, so let me go back. So okay, so there's the double. Okay, yes, okay. So here, push up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that would have been a super sick blade grab. So what ends up happening is like out and land the quick hit, which my recovery was bad there. I should have defended that as a retreating. But this is what I'm talking about me pushing up into and like just hesitating, a couple seconds too long in these close binds. So I push up, I'm in the pocket. Okay, there, right? So I can count that, right? 1, 2, yeah, like 2 seconds I could have grabbed the blade. So push up there would have been a really sick sword grab, and then like that's checkmate. Instead, end up here and I have the overbind here. So if I'd gone for the blade grab or anything, right, could have let go of my blade, tried to yoke or something, right? So that could have been something. But instead, end up kind of pushing down. And fortunately, this works out for me, but we kind of push off, right? I push the blade, and then when he loses grip on the blade, is turned around, and then as he turns back, get the quick hit. Okay. So ended up working out for me, but I could have won that a lot more succinctly and a lot more handily if I just gone for a grab or something there instead of waiting, right? Or just like gone into a shield howl or something and hit. So really just like 2 seconds of hesitating in inside that bind there, inside that close bind. Okay, back here, right? Striking the post, this like the high lefty Donna there. Okay, Boar's Tooth. When I'm shifting my stance like this, gotta be honest, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here. So I'm here shifting my stance, and I mean, like, what I'm doing is like, if they, I'm more poised to retreat. If the opponent like pushes in, but also I think I could be a bit more mindful when I'm doing this, because when I'm doing this, like, if someone happens to push in, I feel like it's like a 50-50 if I manage to take advantage of the stance that I'm in, or if I get punished for it. So I could be a bit more purposeful about that. And then here, so just kind of playing with distance. Like, Wynnie's still pretty new, so trying to let her feel out distance and stuff too. So okay, there. Okay, so retreat. So I miss. So I do a lot of these. Okay, these are bad, right? So I do a lot of these cuts, and if I miss, I end up like doing the full cut around, right? I should be able to cut and like stop in brevet or something, right? So if I cut there, missed, and instead of cutting down to the ground, stopped at brevet, would have been perfectly poised for when she pushes in here. There, see, yeah, so I end up going back to brevet, but if I could just control my movement a bit more, right, that's a playbook issue. There, right, so instead of cutting down to Iron Gate and then having to go back to brevet, just ending in brevet, like, cut, I miss, back to brevet, bam, okay, and then when she pushes in, I can push back. I have equal presence of the mind there instead of having to regain presence of the mind. Right, and then she goes for this kind of like false edge, I don't know, like Archer's Guard, like Schlussel kind of hit here, flat, goes back into true edge, and so here get a nice bind, blade grab hit, but right, oh look at that, see, let me count. 1, 2, okay, almost 2 seconds hesitation there, right? I could have just grabbed immediately when she hit. So trying to build that reaction time up. Building that reaction time up. So when, right, like I could have grabbed like a second earlier. And that's the difference between like a point and not. You know, a difference between like actually getting the bind and not getting the bind. Or, sorry, getting the grab and not getting a successful grab. Yeah, there, yeah, there. Okay, and I ended up winning that, but could have easily, like, that's, a second is plenty of time for anybody to disengage. And you know, and then I'm going for the grab, I'm reaching for air, they're hitting me, right? I have one end of the sword. Not great, right? So, go for those quicker. You know, go for those as soon as I can get them. Instead of hesitating. And I feel like that's a pattern I'm consistently doing, is hesitating. Okay, so pushing in here, this was just bad here. So I'm pushing in, my footwork's pretty bad. I'm just kind of like running in. Go into this hang-in. Right, so she goes for the overbuy. I decided to give it to her. I decided to go weak. Go for the hang-in, and then from here, what do I do? Okay, so actually I call that because I get hit. At least I felt like I get hit. I don't know if I did actually. So I come in. Okay, I think the sword caught me on the hip there. So yeah, I don't know. I blow right past her. She kind of gives it to me, like turns her back to me, but I kind of blow right past her. What I should have done is, if I'm going for this hang-in, right? So hang-in, boom, left hand off. Yeah, left hand off. Hit or pommel strike or something, right? Yeah, so that's a left hand off situation, blade push or wrist push to the ground, and probably a pommel strike here. I need to go for more pommel strikes. I've been getting pommel striked, and I'm going for a lot of these like strong with the blade sword hits in close range. I'm probably not going for enough pommel strikes, because here I think my thought process was, oh, you know, she goes the overbind. I can't do a blade hit here, grapple, so let me try something. But it didn't work out. But this should have been a left hand wrist push pommel strike all day, every day. All day, every day. So wrist push, get control, pommel strike. I need to go for more pommel strikes. Yeah, there could have been a pommel strike. I stop. I don't go for anything because I feel like I got hit. So yeah. And also it was like back ahead and stuff. And then last exchange. Yeah, that was last exchange there. What happened there? So I go for like a bad beat on the blade. 1, 2. I don't get the beat, right? And then I go for like a Zwerk. So yeah, like a false edge Zwerk. I might have gotten doubled. I don't know. Yeah, I did. So I got doubled there. My beat wasn't good enough. So like, if I'm going for that beat there, that should be more. That should be a stronger beat, right? 1, 2. That could have worked if my beat had been better on the blade. So yeah, and I end up getting doubled because, you know, and this was like I was going for like, oh, I'm going for a play instead of, you know, I'm trying to not get hit. So all right, so that was it. Yeah, so that was just kind of like general thoughts on those exchanges, but also just general thoughts on my fencing as well. Things I've noticed that I'm trying to work on, and that I feel like have been patterns for me that I'm either trying to break or reinforce. Okay, so yeah, okay.